What year is your book?
1930.
Uh-huh. And mine is 1945.
Same words.
Same words.
Not necessarily. Maybe they changed some, they updated. Speaking of which, we're actually going to talk about that today, about words being added. We'll see.
This one, you can tell it's British because all has a first.
Right, there you go. All right. Got to make some say there here. A lot of stuff today. First and foremost, as always, today we learned the Ilu Nishmat Avigdor Chai Avram ben Rachaleo Meir Tzvi, and to Avigdor to Meir Tzvi and to Rachaleo. We get a big mazal tov on the birth of Liat. Liat Sophia. Baruch Hashem, she should grow and become a source of nachas to her family. So, and we'll have the sister who will now present the. Okay, Boker Tov. Last week, after I had to cancel the class, and we knew that the topic was going to be Altar Basicha im Ha'isha, don't talk too much to women. Somebody called me a coward, so it's okay. I won't mention his name, but it wasn't Mark, Joel. Oh, I said I wasn't going to mention his name. Oh well. Anyways, no, it had nothing to do with that. Actually, to be honest, what happens is that at school, as you well know, as at all schools, we are very short-handed right now because literally, I think 15 of our staff members are in Miluim, and many of them are mechanchim. So there are not enough people to test the students who are allowed to do oral tests. So I was asked to help out. What I thought was to be there for 45 minutes, I was there for 3.5 hours. But that's okay. I like the school.
But you'll be paid.
Yeah, definitely paid for the 45 minutes. No, that's okay. It's fine. I don't care. Trust me, no one goes into education for the money. Nobody goes for the money, unless you're like top tier or something. Okay, what we're going to do today is 2 or 3 things. We're going to talk about the line about Altar Basicha im Ha'isha. You shouldn't talk excessively to women. I'm taking it a little bit out of context. Oh, I shouldn't even use that phrase anymore. Depends on context. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're lucky. Let us veer away real fast, because I'll say things on tape that I won't want to say. Anyways, so we're going to look at one opinion. I actually printed out. I also do the screen share so people who are online will be able to see it. I'm going to print it out. It's the idea of the Maharal, how he looks at this Mishnah. It is more of a, I will use the term old-fashioned approach, and we'll take a look at something from Rav Steinsaltz, which has a nice little turn, a twist, I guess, on how to look at it. So without any further ado, if you don't mind, please passing up these papers. I think this should be enough for everybody. And I'm going to translate it, so don't worry if you can't read the Hebrew. I should have brought my glasses. Oh, well. That's okay. I'll wait. No, by one's for the screen. That's okay. That's okay. The other day I went around my house. Actually, I think I was with you at the time. I said, where are my glasses? They were in my hand. Okay, I think I'll do this one. Thank you. Is there an extra copy?
Yeah.
Okay, so bring that here. Thank you. Okay, so the first part I kind of went through last week already, mentioning or 2 weeks ago, some of the questions. Reminding everybody, the Mishnah is said, Al Tarbesicha im Ha'isha, you shouldn't speak excessively with women or the woman. Then he says, with your own wife and even more so with other women. And if you do, you cause yourself all kinds of problems and you end up in Gehenna. Okay, fine. Someone who saw the tape said, what do you mean I'll end up in Gehenna? Said no comment. You're sorry you didn't think of that line, right, Joel? Yeah. It wasn't you this time. Okay, so let me read the questions. I have 5 of them here. I'm going to address only some of them. This is the Maharal. What does this have to do? Because the first part of the Mishnah dealt with the idea your house should be open to guests and people should feel comfortable. What does it have to do with this topic and stuff? It should be an aleph, a hey at the end. Sorry, this has nothing to do one with the other. You know, it's like if roses are red. Question I said before, roses are red, violets are blue. I like peanut butter. Can you swim? It doesn't flow. 2. Vote furthermore, Shamar bi'ishto amru. When they say in the Mishnah, they said regarding his wife not to talk too much. Who said that he's talking about his wife when it says Al Tabesicha Ha'isha? Here's what it should have said. Al Tabesicha im Ha'isha. It should be just the opposite. In other words, you say that not the opposite, but it's a different way of phrasing it. You shouldn't speak excessively with the woman, meaning your wife. And more so even with your friend's wife, your friend's wife, the wife of your friends, not your daughter-in-law. Furthermore, no,
Your wife's friends, I would think.
no. Other women. And in other words, the kal v'chomer, right. So that's one of the woman, the man. So the problem here is that he's dealing with is it says kal v'chomer, which is in the Latin term is a fortiori. A fortiori means even more so, or how much more so. It's from the word forte, which means strength, stronger. Alachat kama v'chama. Yes. Number 3. Furthermore, what evil does he cause himself because he's talking to women? That almost sounds like he's saying it tongue in cheek, but okay. Number 4. Furthermore, tell me Torah. He's taking away time from Torah when he talks to women. No, just keep talking to women. Yeah, you're wasting your time. But if I'm playing on the computer, I'm watching Netflix, I'm walking down the street just, daydreaming, I'm also not learning Torah. So why dafka does it say it here? And number 5, furthermore, that he goes down to Gehenna. What is the horrible thing that's happening here by him talking? He's not sleeping with women. He's not carousing. He's not going out to bars and drinking with them. And he's talking to them. Okay. So it's the piece of the Maharal is much longer than this. I cut and pasted some of it. Editorial content. No. Okay. Aval you should know. He starts it with a premise. And he's saying it not just about himself, about Yossi ben Yochanan, but about to us. Remember, this is guiding us in life. So the home should be a holy place. See, these 3 things really apply to the house of a person, which are Rishon first. Because the person has a home. When you have a home, people come, they may come by to borrow something. Sometimes you have guests. If he doesn't have a home, you don't have guests. So notice, first of all, step 1 is your home should be holy in the fact that it's open to help people. Chesed, someone needs to borrow something, someone needs food. Number 2, sheni. It's impossible a person should have, now we're not talking about, God forbid, fertility problems or empty nesters, or that's not a God forbid, but it says, of course, people are going to be in your home, so the people should feel comfortable in your home. And shlishi, and third, the woman who is the lifeblood of the home, just like Rabbi Yossi who said in Gemara and Shabbat, I never call my wife, ela rak ishti beiti. I refer to as my home. It says that a man is the king of his castle until the queen comes home. Okay? In other words, he's making a number of statements here. All this is revolving around the home. The concept, before he even gets any further into detail here, the concept that they're talking to the women, this is first, what's it doing in the Mishne, in this Mishne? He says all 3 have to do with the home and the kedusha of the home and what is the foundation of the home. Lachain, therefore, sorry, put that in the bro. I don't have to make a bracha on this now, right? No, what is this? Hibiki Centauri whiskey. It's a beautiful bottle.
Yeah. But I know you said you don't like whiskey, so you probably don't, right?
I mean, I will have maybe once a year. I'll have some. No. If I were to make a shakol, right, I would make a shakol pied whiskey. But if you don't know, even if you don't like it, because your mouth has benefit, you have to make a bracha on it. It's like unlike medicine, like a pill, but on a tasty medicine you do. For some, this is tasty medicine. You want to pass it down? Just wait. You have a straw?
No, I don't need it.
Oh, really? No. Okay, well, regarding the first topic of the home itself, people coming in and out, your home should be wide open. The people should know you have a welcoming environment that would come and they need something and come to you. You shouldn't just lock your house up. Doesn't mean literally. Means you shouldn't make your place a fortress that no one wants to would feel welcome or to even come and bother you for something or ask for something. Also, people, travelers, would feel comfortable coming there and get something. And regarding the second concept, the idea of people in the home, that it said in the Mishnah that poor people should be like your whole household members. That the aniyim, poor people, should always be in your home until the point where they become almost part of your family. And from that, they'll be able to get proper parnasa with respect. Now, it doesn't mean only that aniyim should be, we saw this last time, that you should have them here all the time, that they always feel now they become part of the family, like fish after 3 days that start to stink, right? But it does mean that when a ani comes to your home, they should feel and be treated like a member of your family. Regarding the third issue about the talking to women, she is the woman. When it says you should not speak too much excessively to the woman, if you want your home to be appropriately holy, you should not have too many conversations with women. Quote from the Mishnah, with the woman. Right. Correct. Right now, I'm using the term as women, as the category of women. Okay. Now he quotes the Mishnah. When it says when it says you shouldn't excessively speak to the woman, it's referring to the woman, meaning his wife. Because the whole point he's trying, remember, the Maharal's thesis here is that the concept here in this Mishnah is the making sure your home is in order, that you're doing the right thing in order. Dare you. Do you feel lucky, punk? Since the woman is the foundation of the home, because everything rests on her shoulders. With one is a footnote that I forgot to erase. Therefore, it had to say, don't speak excessively with the woman. Other side of the page. I should be moving down here. Sorry for the people at home. I should have moved this. Oh, there we go. Okay. Even when it comes to the household matters, don't talk too much. If it's not necessary. In other words, don't discuss something to death. You're more so with the wife of your friend. He's saying, what's the reason that you shouldn't talk too much to the other woman? It's not because of promiscuity or anything else. Saying tachlis, because if the purpose here of talking to your wife, it doesn't mean don't talk to your wife about stam things. Forget about that whole topic right now. But he's saying that if the purpose of this Mishnah is discussing tikkun abayit, correcting the home, making sure it's properly done and everything, having excessive conversation with women from a guy, that doesn't do anything for your home. As a matter of fact, it may cause a problem, which we'll see in another opinion. Therefore, they said it about his wife, that he shouldn't talk too much to his wife. Even more so to the wife of his friend. Now, keep in mind, and again, we're going to see Rav Stein's also in a couple of minutes about his perspective. Okay, let me just forget the editorial. Let's first finish. And furthermore, he said in the Mishnah, from here the Chachamim said, whoever speaks excessively to the woman causes himself problems, evil. It means to say, once you've been warned, and that's in quotes, about speaking with your wife, even with her, you shouldn't have too many conversations. In Cain, by the way, parenthetically, does not mean don't talk to your wife. Don't walk out here and say, where else you should speak to your wife. Of course you should. It's important to communicate. That's one of the top 3 problems in marriages is lack of communication. I'll leave it to you to think about what the other 2 possibly are.
The person that wrote this, why don't you just study it more normally? Like,
very good. Okay, hold on to that thought for a minute or two. No, are you talking about the Mishnah, right? Okay, so hold on to that thought for a minute. Okay, very, very good. Yeah. Rabbi Yossi ben Yochanan, Yishu Shai. Excellent question. Hang on about 2 more minutes and we're going to see. Okay, very good. End of the paragraph. There's no problem when you talk to your wife when it comes to promiscuity. So Kal V'chomer, when he says, because that's not the issue. The issue is not about promiscuity when you're talking to your wife, and it's not about it when you talk about with other women. It's just it is not about your home. It's not about tikkun habayit. It's not about building your home, and that's the point here in this Mishnah. Therefore, last paragraph. Whoever speaks excessively to the woman is wasting time from Torah. Listen to what he says here. This is pretty stark and strong. Maharal, that when he's spending too much time talking to his wife, it's the opposite of Torah. What does that mean? But if I sit there and talk to my wife, that I'm wasting time from Torah, I'm doing the opposite of Torah. Of course not. But finish your sentence. Finish your sentence. Right. Okay, so no, that's not the point. The point is not that. The point is not if you want to talk about taxes or you want to talk about the home repairs, you want to talk about how to raise your children, you want to talk about education, you want to talk about the weather, you want to talk. If they're all good discussions, they need to be held. Talking about waste of time discussion. Let's say you had a discussion about something, right? And you come to a conclusion. Now you finish the topic is over and you have to, and then just to rehash and to just go over the same stuff, that's already wasting time. Okay. If let's say, for example, we've had a discussion, you and I have a discussion. We're saying, the bus service is Malayanu is terrible. Whatever. I'm throwing that out because it's obviously the best in the world. I need some water after that. Maybe I need this whiskey. And you say it's not, and I say this. You know what we need to do? We need to buy the bus company, make it better. Okay, I have $50 million. We're going to buy the bus company. He said, you know what? Great idea. I'm going to invest with you. Okay, end of discussion. Now we go to the next shalat. The next thing. So what are we going to do about it? Okay, not just see it going, well, it's bad. No, it's a good system. No, it's a bad system. Okay, die. Enough. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. That's the kind of discussion he's talking about. This is not equivalent. This is kind of what he's saying now. When you're talking about just some stam discussion, if you're having a discussion, a regular old discussion with your wife, that's fine. It's not bittul Torah. You're not wasting time. What?
Guy that just keep wasting your time talking about some sports.
We're not. We're talking about his wife right now.
But
and who said that's okay?
So that's what I'm saying. But so why doesn't it just say don't waste time talking?
We will see that. Okay, good. So what you're bothered by, rightfully so, is almost everything that it says after the words al tabesi chayim ha'isha. Almost everything that comes after that is problematic to you, correct?
No, it's the first thing that's problematic. I agree. Don't waste time.
Okay, but we're going to see that in multiple Mishnayot that is how it's going to be worded. Basically, don't if you waste time from Torah, it causes you all kinds of other problems. Correct. Why dafka here? Because the original point he's trying to make is not just about talking to women. We're going to see, I'm kind of like going to show my hand here. It's not necessarily, he didn't say this himself. We're going to see this in a minute from Rav Steinsaltz. He's talking about the home. Okay, in the home right now. He's talking about being open for people to feel comfortable coming in. Poor people should feel like part of the family when they come. They should be treated with respect. And even within your own home, one of the other areas of Kedusha is how you talk to your wife. Let's look at it from a more proper, positive aspect, which is that to make the husband and wife a safe environment for both of them. Those kind of discussions, anything, a plain conversation with your wife, perfectly fine. But again, just something that's just babbling and wasting time and rehashing and going, all right. And you're right. From there, you can learn Kal V'chomer of everything else. Standing for 4 hours discussing that the ref made the wrong call. Okay, referee. Okay. And by the way, there's a reason that a fan of a sport is short for fanatic. Right. Yeah. Fanatic. Okay, so it says Bazehu poneh l'isha mitabek. So aval asicha im ha'isha, but real conversation with his wife. Bazehu poneh l'isha mitabek. What's a positive that comes out of conversation? Get closer to your spouse. Ki adam mitabek ba'isha. Sorry. When he starts having too many conversations outside the home also, he gets maybe closer to the person. That is, and even with his own wife, that's called turning away from Torah. And what is he talking about? What's this last sentence really mean? He's saying that in a very general sense, when a person wastes time, first in a very general sense, you're taking time from Torah. Not just wasting time, you're taking time from Torah. I have said many times, I said to a woman I work with recently, she said, you didn't get so much done, you do a lot of learning. I said, I have a doctorate in time wasting. She said, well, to get the doctorate, you had to study, right? Well, yeah. Okay, so I didn't waste the time. It's a joke, but we all waste time. It's just that's the way life is. The question is, how much time do we waste? And some people, I know I've talked about this, like Rosh Hashanah time a couple of times over the years, will make these decisions that, okay, this should be more careful of brachot, but more careful about tzedakah. And when I've told people, there's certain things you can do that are actually pretty easy. Let's assume for a moment you waste X amount of hours a day. And what does that mean to waste time? That's up to you. That's there. Because some people always say watching a sports event is great. And it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it, a form of recreation, because recreation is recreating yourself, to give yourself your mind to rest and to think about something else other than war. So it's recreation. But taking the amount of hours and figure out where I can cut off 5%, 10%, 2%, something, and then maybe fill it with something positive. Call a friend, do a chesed, learn, open a chumash, whatever it might be, filling that time. And that is all an offshoot of this Mishnah. But the reason it's here about the ha'isha is because he's talking about now your home. The focus is on the home right now. And the second part of the Mishnah, the Kal V'chomer, is about outside the home, which we're going to discuss in a second. You want to say something? Yes.
Taking a different approach to
I'm going to repeat it for the video. So.
Maybe taking a different approach to this would be that, yes, it's understood that a husband and wife should be communicating, and yet even for that, there can be a rule that it becomes excessive.
Correct.
The same thing. If you're opening up your home and you're hosting all these people,
right,
then it's proper and polite to be having conversations. But there could be passing a rule that it becomes excessive.
Very good.
And then maybe it's too much.
Very good. So what Rana is also saying is that the idea of one of the things we may learn on a positive way from this Mishnah is that, yes, of course, communication with the spouse is very good. Once it becomes excessive, there's like a gvul or a certain like a line that goes beyond, and that's not good. It becomes onerous or bittul Torah or whatever it might be. So too, the other things in the Mishnah, I would even take it a little further than you, that the other things in the Mishnah she was saying are telling us that, bring guests in and all, but there's, also you don't go beyond a certain point that it becomes excessive talking and discussions that just have absolutely no benefit. You sit there for 3 hours at the Shabbat table, which is great. You talk about what is Parsha, and you talk about the life, about the war. It's good. It's cathartic for people. If it's Stam Shtuyot, and especially if it's Lashon Hara, you have to tell me afterwards what you said, especially if it's Lashon Hara, but I won't tell it, probably. Then it becomes a problem. So I was going to say, take it a little step further, that also, just like you don't want to have, thank you, this kind of made my brain think a little bit more, that the discussions of a husband may have with his wife, after a certain point, may get excessive and be considered, quote, a waste of time, in quotes. So too, the other things a person shouldn't do to an excess, maybe is what you're trying to say, is just give so much of yourself to the aniyim and so much of yourself to the guests, that you forget the bayit, forget the home. That's another thing.
Or they do it on purpose in order to avoid intimacy with their partner.
Also, it could be an avoidance thing to avoid being with their partner. It's also possible. There's a Rambam that says early on in Hilchot Deot. I learned this, it was pointed out to me, Rabbi J.J. Schachter, Shlita, brilliant individual. The Rambam talks about the following. Talks about, we saw just a few weeks ago that Avraham leaves Haran with his wife. Avram leaves with his wife Sarai, and it says, and they went with the nefesh, the soul they made in Haran. What does that mean? So Rashi gives a couple of meanings. One is that it meant avadim, slaves and shvachot and maidservants. That was the nefesh, the people that were like the people. And Rashi gives an additional opinion. The Midrash says, Avraham megayeret ha'anashim, that Abraham was converting to monotheism, to Judaism, men, and that women, and the women were being converted by Sarai. Rambam says that they converted tens of thousands of people. And Rabbi Schechter said the following: we don't know a single thing about a single one of those people. And all we know about is Yitzchak, his son, and Yishmael. Of course, we're not talking about Yishmael, Machshemo, right? We don't know anything about any of these tens of thousands of people. Why? Because they're in, as far as the importance of a parent, he can help outside the home. He could do what he can do outside the home. What's the most important is the home. That can never be lost. And he gave it the context of the rabbis who were sitting in front of him, like, it's important to help outside, but don't forget your own family. So I like that a lot. Because let's take a look at, take a look. I didn't print it out for you. You can pass the sheet back or keep it or put it in and burn it with chametz, so whatever you want. I'm going to read to you what Rav Steinsaltz said. And this is going to, this will, I think, answer something you mentioned. Okay. מאמריה של מסכת אבות ראויים בראש ובראשונה עד כמה שהדבר אפשרי להסבר על רקע זמנם והקשרם חברתי. He says the expressions that are brought, the Mishnah that are brought in Masechet Avot, act first and foremost as a mirror of the times when they were said, and also the connection to the social life of what it was like at that time. And this ma'amar of Yossi ben Yochanan, right? That's what it is. Yossi ben Yochanan, I don't remember the name anymore. Sorry. Oh, Yossi ben Yochanan, it is a good example. Why? He says, Yossi ben Yochanan hamadaber, he said before, Rav Steinsaltz mentioned that the women that he's talking about in the Mishnah are not women out in the street. It's the women that come into the home. Whether they're guests, they're aniyim, don't talk too much to them. He already mentioned that. I didn't say that before. And he's referring, first of all, says Rav Steinsaltz, to those women. In addition, he says, he says his desire, Yossi ben Yochanan's desire, is that people should minimize their conversations with the women who come into the home. Because a group of people or a society that is very religious is exceedingly, say hashamrani.
Terrible.
No, it's let's use a term that we'll understand right away. Uber Haredi. Okay? Uber Haredi. That's not what it really means. Sorry. Devout is a good word. Very good. Yeshno nisayon l'tzamtzem. So in the time period of Chazal, which we are talking about, when they were trying to be as exceedingly careful as possible, it would be very appropriate for them to make some type of statement to try to minimize conversations with women. He puts in parentheses, ach lo le'esor. Notice he doesn't say it's asur to talk to women. It's very important. He's saying that in our time period. He said it in our time period because I will tell you, I know of one person in particular. It killed me years ago when I heard this. I have a friend who's now a big Rosh Hashiva in some place I won't mention. And no, he's a brilliant guy. He's great. It's he and his brother, just the two of them, were at home. And this is what I was like right after high school. I didn't even understand it. So my friend told me that a woman came to the door and his brother answered the door and looked like past her. I guess no one's here, and closed the door. I was mortified for her. It's just disgusting. That's my point. I'm mortified for her, and it's disgusting what he did. Okay, so he's saying, Rav Steinsaltz is saying, first of all, just make a point and realize that Yossi ben Yochanan didn't say anything about prohibiting talking to women. Continuing, so he says they're trying to minimize the mifgash ben gvarim lenashim, between men and women. That's outside the framework of family. Without any mashmauti, any significant reason. Imazman, over time. His thesis is that Rabbi Yossi ben Yochanan said, Al tarbeh sicha im ha'isha. Nikuda. That was the end of the mission. Then in further generation, it was edited furthermore by another generation. He doesn't say when, with two additions. He says as follows. He says somebody added words to Yossi ben Yochanan with two additions. Shelo kalula pshutam shel advarim. They didn't really come to any. I don't know how to translate this in English. Kalula advarim is like they missed the mark, in a sense. And there are two parshanim, two commentators that said that yes, these were additional statements. The Rashbetz, who we've mentioned before, who says that those who came after him, meaning Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, some people came later after Rabbi Yehuda Nasi finished the Mishnah, and then they added some words. Even the way the phraseology of the words, where it says Bishto Amru, Mikan Amru, the fact that it says, therefore we understand from this that, and Kal Vachomer this is indicative, he says, indicative of the fact that someone added words to the Mishnah. Doesn't mean they're wrong, just means it's not Yossi ben Yochanan's statement. Emet. He says, I'm not looking to mollify this sharpness of this statements, that gishatam nuksha, or their approach, their hard approach. This is, listen, you may look at this Mishnah whatever way you want, but it's not how Rabbi Yossi ben Yochanan meant it, because he didn't say those words. It says, yes, it's important to know and minimize the connection between men and women in a sphere that it's not appropriate. But the way the charifut, the sharpness of the statement was that Rabbi Yossi ben Yochanan. Now, what's also important to know.
Were there additional words at some point?
So there's an additional Perek, actually. Perek 6, the 6th chapter, we already know, was written at a later time. And for the reason which I mentioned, I think months ago in the introduction, was that there were 6 weeks between Pesach and Shavuot for six Shabbatot. So they wanted to say it every Shabbat, and because about Tikkun Amidot and correcting how you live, and they added another one that's Bilshon, something Amru Bilshon Chachamim. So it's like they said it. It's words that came from Braitot and things that were not originally included in the Mishnah. You're going to say something?
Even when your copies, one of the problems is that you have to copy very accurate.
And they have to copy from something.
And from a source.
Right.
That is realistic.
Correct.
So the fact that stuff was added isn't surprising.
Okay. So I would actually go a step further what you're saying also. And say, if that's the case, how do we know that a lot of stuff isn't just made up? Right? So what is his proof that this was something that was added later? It doesn't say it's made up. It's not a made up thing. It's some additional opinion that's added. That's all it is. It's not like all of a sudden he says that on Shabbat you're allowed to write. Okay. So it's the idea is the nisuach, the syntax and the style show that it was added later on by people who maybe wanted to make it a little bit more religious. Now, go back to 1950. Okay, 1950, and there's a wedding. It's a religious wedding. It's in New York City. It's in Chicago. It's Cincinnati. It's in Boston. Okay, there's no separate seating. There's mixed dancing. The women have sleeveless. I mean, I look at my parents' wedding album. I mean, that's how it was in that time period, right? Now look at that. Now forget Israel for a minute. So it's a little bit more normal here. But look at the United States. That they have separate wedding halls for the men and women, almost literally. The Chatan and Kala in some situation have a very long table. They have the men's part, the women's part. They have the Chatan and Kala don't sit near each other. The different yichud groups. No, it's not. But the worst, and then besides separate seating, the worst travesty is that separate seating weddings, that the single men and women, single boys and girls sit separately. That's nauseating. Because you say, oh, they can't talk to each other, they can't, because they don't go to bars and they go to this. Well, where are they supposed to meet? Right, so they're going to meet on the street, right? In Crack Square, in Yerushalayim. That's where you want them to meet? Put them in a kosher environment.
Separate rooms.
Separate. I've been to a couple of those separate rooms. Yes.
For coat rooms.
Oh no! Seriously? Oh, you get involved. Oh gosh. So I think that we've gone. I'm not going to spend any more time than 30 seconds on this. Might be not even that. We've gone a little bit off the deep end in some cases. I am very pleased that here in Israel, in the United States, I can tell you factually, even within most Dati Leumi communities, they are separate seating weddings. Here, or Hashem, we still have our heads on straight. Doesn't mean that they're all great, and plenty that's not the most appropriate, but that's okay. But it is a situation where we are encouraging, enabling young people to have to do things that their parents are telling them not to do, right? Give them appropriate places to be. Yeah, okay. So that's almost, because that's its own topic, its own discussion. Yes, you're going to say.
I don't know, just one other way of looking at it.
Please. Yes.
The whole approach to the Mishne as a whole.
Go right ahead. I'm just looking at the Mishne here.
If you had learned that don't speak idly to women and stuff like that.
Right.
Okay. But your wife you could speak to.
Mm-hmm.
But once you learn that even your wife, then
even more
then
so,
it
you're
makes
saying.
sense. Okay, for sure I shouldn't be speaking. I wouldn't learn. I would never have thought. But if I say not my wife,
Specifically about the wife.
then the real message don't speak idly to everybody else, not your wife.
Right.
So that's one half. Also, it starts open. The Mishnah opens it. Open your house.
That could be a problem already. To oh, be careful what you do.
Wife is, and then that means your cat shouldn't be talking to your wife with your a little too much, because suddenly that's going to be problems in your home.
Right. Okay, that's very good. I like that. Very good. Just as an aside, be careful whom you invite into your home for overnight stays. Yeah. Okay. We are going to do the next. I'm going to read the next mission. I've been really looking forward to this one. Not that I wasn't looking forward to the last one, but I'm really looking forward to this one because this one has a lot of meat, and for me personally, a little bit of history. Okay, let me just first read the Mishnah 6. Let me do the screen share here. Okay, there we go. Okay. Yoshua ben Prachia, the Nitai Ha'arbeli, Kiblu Mehem. Yoshua ben Prachia and Nitai from Arbel. I'm sure many of you have been up north to Arbel. There's a scary as heck teal to do there if you want to do that, which I backed out of twice. We're the next of the Zugot, of the pairs. They received from Yossi ben Yochanan, Yossi Yerushalayim. And he said, Yoshua ben Prachia Omer, Aseh lecha rav, make for yourself a rav, uknei lecha chaver, acquire for yourself a friend, ve'vedan et kol hadam lechafsechu, and you should judge everyone, give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Now, these three statements, and I'm not exaggerating, we could probably spend the next 7 to 10 shiurim on easily. We're not. We're going to spend at least a couple though. Okay, so first let's just understand the basic meanings, and then I'll give you a little bit of a couple of stories from the Gemara about Yeshua ben Prachia and about Dan the Kafsechut, and we'll get a little bit more into depth. Maybe next week. I didn't see what time it was. Okay. What does it mean? What does it mean, Aseh lecha rav? What does it mean? It means you should have a rabbi. You should have someone to turn to. Why? First of all, you notice everything here is in singular, right? Second person. Aseh lecha, not aseh lecha. Asu lachem. Aseh lecha. Everyone should have a rabbi. Does that mean that a husband and wife can have different rabbis? Does it mean a rabbi needs a rabbi? So these are just questions I'm throwing out, and the answer is obviously yes to a rabbi needs a rabbi, because there's no rabbi. There's basically no rabbi who can make every single solitary decision without consulting their handful. There's always been, every generation has a couple of them, right? I mean, I'm sure that even Rabbi Yashiv Zatzal, I know, would consult with another Rab sometimes. With Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal also talked about, even though at his fingertips, and literally had the entire Torah. You know, he learned the entire Kol Torah Kula basically every year. Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal learned the entire Talmud Bavli, Talmud Yerushalmi, entire Shulchan Aruch, entire Torah, entire Rambam, and I forgot what else. There's like 3 or 4 more things every year, the entire thing. And he on Erev Pesach, he made a Suman Kol HaTorah Kula, basically. He had no time to talk to his wife. Yeah, although she made tea for him every day at 2 a.m. And the one time he did. Yes, of course. He had his wife would get up with him at 2 a.m. every day, because that's when he started his day, made his tea. He told the story that one night he got up, she was still sleeping, he decided to make his own tea. He got so engrossed in his learning, he'd put the kettle on, got so engrossed, it overflowed and caused like a little fire. He says, that's it, I'm never gonna do this again. And that was that. Yeah, but that's what she was known to be also a very high spiritual person. People came to seek her counsel, that just as many people came to see him, came to see her. She was her own amazing person. I have a book at home, came from Art Scroll, about the Rebbitzin. And I never really knew much about her. And I read the book. It's absolutely beautiful, beautiful stuff about the relationship. And sometimes you can look at a couple where someone's a Gadol Hador. But it's not, even when we all say Gadol Hador, it's Gidol, because it's Smichut. The Gadol Hador, and you can see like, oh, they must have a tough life because he's never available. And sometimes you can see the unbelievable compassion between the two. And that I didn't really understand that until I read that book. It really made a big difference to me. Okay, anyways, so Selech HaRav, in general, very, very general terms, means you should have someone to ask questions to. Are you allowed to have more than one? It says Selech HaRav. Doesn't say Rabbanim. Can you have more than one? The answer is yes, and we'll see how that what that means. No, you're not allowed to shop around for the answer you like. Definitely had that happen to me. So when someone will call, I've had once or twice, more than once or twice, a number of times where people say, I want your opinion on something. I don't want to know what you think, say halach. What's your opinion? Okay, I said, fine, I'll give you my opinion. Sounds like buy a friend. Like, like here you go to school and say, oh, Johnny, you don't have any friends. Listen, give him $5. I'm sure he'll be your friend. That's what it sounds like, right? Dalakav sechut is a phrase we've used, we know, for hundreds of times, give someone the benefit of the doubt. Always, sometimes, under certain circumstances, when not to. So those of you who are in the Tefillah class, you know that I dealt with this just a couple of weeks ago because of a topic that came up in the class. I'm going to do that again. But we have to also take, and we'll see next week, Bezrat Hashem, a couple stories about Yeshua ben Prachia. I mentioned as I was leaving last week that Yeshua ben Prachia and Jesus were contemporaries. Jesus learned in the Beit Midrash. Yeshua ben Prachia, there's a couple of stories in the Gemara about them, that according to the Gemara, we'll see next week, that Jesus basically went off the derech because of Yeshua ben Prachia, but not on purpose. He was a complete misunderstanding. And we'll see a couple stories about Dan the Kaf Sechut. And then we'll get more into the depth of this. Why, and I just mentioned as an addendum here at the end, why this has a personal historical background to me for this Mishnah. When I was a candidate to become rabbi, the shul where I ended up becoming the rabbi. So I did 2 Shabbatot of trial, called a Praba in Yiddish. And I kept with me, I kept a file of the stuff I said, my speeches I gave, the questionnaire that I was given, the announcements that were made that I was going to be the scholar in residence. And I remembered that Shabbat, the last talk I gave, and the vote was the next night. The last talk I gave was on the top, Selech HaRav. What is a Rav? What's the purpose of a Rav? And I made some connection between other places in Tanakh where it says Aselecha. And I actually knew exactly where it was. I found it. I brought it with me. I'm not going to give you the whole speech, but I'll give you the background to it, kind of coming full circle. Because I also looked at a list of things I wrote to myself of what I thought I should be doing in my life with being a rabbi, and what the shul said are the responsibilities. And Baruch Hashem, it's pretty cool to look at something 25 years later and see where we're going in life. And you're all part of that journey too. So, okay, I will wish you all a good day. And also, Chag Urim Sameach, should be a great Hanukkah. Class definitely next week, Bezrat Hashem. We'll not give, whether it's on Zoom or in person, we're having it. Even if it's, like I say, every year on Hanukkah, if it's only one person, I'm not letting those Greeks win. We're learning Torah. All right. Have a great day.